Hey everyone, it's Greg again, giving you a little update on the 1935 Philco Model 89 that some of you have probably been wondering how it's been coming along. It's been a number of weeks since I last checked in on it. Well, I'm happy to say I finally got it to play. But not without 6 weeks of some intense restoration work. This whole stack of papers here is everything that I have printed out and all the information I could find on this set that I needed to restore it. Many posts to the message board on philcoradio.com, the Philco forum. Some very helpful members there. Two in particular named Mondial and Skyscraper. They both were working on these at the same time and came up with some helpful hints. But as Ron Ramirez said, who is the Philco guru, this is the Philco 89 from hell, and I can certainly attest to that. And I would strongly urge each of you, unless you're up for a real challenge, to avoid at all costs the Philco Model 89s and the Philco Model 19s. The Model 19 is the same chassis and everything as the 89, just that it has a shadow meter. The reason I say this is the set has three coils, and the coils use 38 gauge wire to be rewound, and they're very, very finicky. The oscillator system on this radio is just a nightmare, and the only way I could get this thing to play was by reversing two wires. But more on that in a little bit. Philco Model 89 was made between January of 1933 and April of 1936. And all of these are different cabinet configurations that they used. And this one, you can see my name on it. That's the one that I have. And instead of having just one schematic, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up until 10 different schematics for this radio. All the different changes that took place during the run of manufacture. And each of the changes is detailed here on Ron's website, which I printed out. And the only way you can tell which set you have is to follow through the changes and see where in the run that your set falls. Now my set still has a number 36 tube, and let's see, on drawing number 8, they went to a 77 detector tube instead, so that ruled out the last 3 drawings for me. Then, paging back a few, onto let's see, number 6. It says a Type K7 speaker was changed to a K21. Well, looking inside my set, I don't know if you can see it sideways, but it says K21 on the speaker. So that narrowed it down to drawings number 6, number 7, and number 8. Somewhere in between there. So when I did that, I was able to take those drawings and blow them up, and was going off of this drawing right here to restore the set. And I also got drawings from Chuck Schwark, whom many of you know is the go-to guy to go to for Philco schematics. He does a great job of giving you a detailed schematic and giving you a parts list, which is very helpful, and where each component is numbered under the chassis. You look on the corresponding part list what the number is, and those same numbers are found on the schematic. Now this particular radio was just a a nightmare under the chassis. Someone made some major modifications over the years, and nothing came out right. There were no two wires that were in the right place. So as you can see on this schematic, I had to literally trace out every single wire and every single connection on this radio to figure out what went where and if anything was in the right place. Excuse me. So it was as I say, you can imagine what a nightmare this was. I've never had a radio that was this messed up and this much of a challenge before. The main problem were these three coils right here. This is the antenna coil, this is the RF coil, and this is the oscillator coil. And each of those three main coils had at least one winding that was open. So, as you can imagine, that caused some great deal of difficulty to try and wind around 27 turns of 38 gauge wire and solder that little wire onto the lugs and hope you had it the right way. After I had gotten it all together and gotten continuity on all the coils, put it back together, turned it on, and I was getting short wave on the AM broadcast band. Wasn't getting any AM stations whatsoever. I was getting one powerful shortwave station out of Nashville. It was broadcasting religious programming. And I could not figure out why. I tried rewinding the coil the same way. I had to detail the drawings on the Philco forum with which way they were wound, where to start, where to end. I did that 3 times and I still was getting shortwave. And I was all set to put in a second coil when I thought of something that somebody mentioned on there, of reversing the 2 wires for the one coil, the tickler on the oscillator. So I thought I had to unsolder it anyway, so I took those 2 wires, soldered them just the opposite of the way they should be, turned on the set, and I was getting all across the AM band, all the local stations. I was getting WBBM in Chicago, which is 120 miles away. I was getting WSM in Nashville, which is, I don't know how many 100 miles away that is, AM 650. I know our friend John gets that in Conway, Arkansas quite often, but that's all it took was switching 2 wires around. I had a parts chassis I was robbing coils from. You can see the 3 empty holes where the coils go through. And so luckily I had spares in case I did totally mess something up. But this is the RF coil. And you can see where we wound the primary on the outside. That's actually 32 gauge wire. That wasn't too bad. And this is the antenna coil. That one has a real tiny little wire. I don't know if you can see it. There it is on the back side. That was broke on the coil that I put in the set. That had to be soldered. That was the problem there. And this is the infamous oscillator coil. And the red tickler wire right here. And any of you who happen to have a Model 89 Philco, this tickler coil will 9 times out of 10 be open. It'll be broken. What happens is there was some, it's almost like a cellophane material, cellulite type of clear plastic under the winding. And in time, that plastic emits an acid that eats through the wire and causes a break. And that's why that particular tickler causes problems. And it's soldered to lugs 1 and 2. It's the first 2, you can see them right here. And those are the wires that I had to reverse, which indicated that I had this wound backwards, which is why I was getting short wave. So here then is the completed Philco Model 89 that I first filmed taking it out of the box on January 23rd, and here it is March 11th, and I just put everything back in the cabinet. As you can see, I redid the cabinet, redid the finish. I left the front panel original, I just clear coated over it. And put a new Philco decal on it, cleaned up the knobs. Pardon the old throw rug I've got it sitting on just to protect it. But finish it a little bit dusty. But anyway, it turned out pretty nice. I got all the cracks out of the top here that you saw before. And the grill cloth turned out halfway decent. It's not an exact pattern, but closest you can find. So with a little bit of luck, I've got the antenna hooked up. We should be able to get something playing on here. This is off, on, and band, tuning, volume, and tone.
For upscale furniture.
Showrooms in Greenfield, Brookfield, Menominee Falls, then Chicago. Auto Show bonus cash incentives. As much as
Collinwood is not going to get rich.
Yeah, I don't know why you guys didn't believe me when I told you.
Like cracks in your brickwork, walls, or ceilings, call
Radio 780 and 105.9 FM.
Back here with the forecast tonight, rain
That's
will be changing to
WBBM
snow.
in
We will have
Chicago.
some significant accumulations, says AccuWeather, which is why the weather storm warning will go into effect.
How do we do? Okay, now
Nice
you're
hip-hop
talking my
there,
language.
When you're reading all your primas for free agency in the Green Bay Packers, these were...
That little bit of interference you're hearing, that comes from there's a TV on upstairs or a computer or something, and that's causing that.
Defensive tackle, 5 years, $30 million to the Colts.
Or when you're not quite sure, and when that moment hits where you feel like you could be losing this thing, it's always your habits, it's always going back to your training that pulls you through. And that's a lot of those types of things we've been talking to our group about as well.
Obviously got to continue getting it in the post, and the other guy that's really come around has been Kyle Kelm, who played solidly for you the whole season, but has been so aggressive in this tournament.
When you see the red bag, you know it's quality. Back after this on News Talk 1130 WISN.
Eggers Imprints is a Wisconsin-based apparel decorating company and proud sponsor of Milwaukee Panther Athletics. From design to the decoration of apparel, Eggers Imprints is a one-stop shop with experienced employees who provide high-quality, quick turnaround imprint service. They take pride in doing business with great marketing promotion companies while giving back to the community with charitable support from Best Buddies and Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Two important reasons why Eggers has been recognized as a Future 50 company by the Milwaukee Metropolitan Association of Commerce. Eggers Imprint.
Just to point out a few things in the back here, there's a gentleman on eBay whose name escapes me right now, his username, but he reproduces the original paper labels that went in these cabinets. I don't know if you can see that, but it's exact size, and mine was, parts of it were missing, but it lined up perfectly over the top. It had the patent label in there. As you can see, this set still has some of the original chalk marks from the factory from 1934. And there's another label here that came in the set. And this gold one is especially nice. Those are usually always chewed off or missing. And it was $14.95, but I think it was well worth it because I think it really dresses up a radio having the original labels and everything. And you know, the new chassis mounts they've got, and new grill cloth, of course, new cloth covered line cord. Managed to salvage the end from it. So I'm pretty happy with this radio. I never would have guessed after 6 weeks of struggling that I'd have it playing and playing as well as it is. I'm very happy with it, and I hope that you enjoyed this. Well, actually, it's probably my longest video, about 15 minutes here, but was a long time coming, and I certainly wouldn't want to tackle another one of these, but I do have a lot of notes here, and if any of you are working on one and maybe have a question, I'll certainly see if I can help you out. You've been very nice to me. Got a lot of nice comments on my videos, and always happy to help wherever I can. So until the next project, which is probably going to be a hippo, I've got a Philco hippo I've been working on that someone saw mine and wanted one, and I found another one, so I'll be fixing that up and passing it on. So until next time, this is Greg.